Hello and welcome back to Formula 1 2019 on the TomFM channel. Today we have got the jewel of the F1 season. We're racing in Monaco, arguably the most difficult circuit on the entire calendar, and we need to get a good result here today because, as you can see, we currently sit 5th in the driver's standings and 3rd in the constructors. So if we want to start winning the championship and get towards the top of the table at the end of the season, we need to pick up some points, and Monaco is a really key place to do it. However, we do have a few issues in this race which may or may not affect us, but today you've got a bit of a surprise because the racing today is going to be a live commentary. Everything else so far, including this, is pre-recorded, but once we get to the race, it's live commentary, which is very exciting. As you can see, we've had 2 upgrades to the car. We've had an oil combustion engine as part of the power unit, which is really good, and we've also had some downforce upgrades, which makes us now actually the fastest car on the grid, as you can see there, ahead of Mercedes and Ferrari, which is really exciting. Our issues start in today's episode, though, with our engine. Now, the engine is very worn. However, because the engine isn't a big part of the Monaco Grand Prix, it's a short, twisty track around the city, the engine's just not important, and I don't think we're going to need the engine. So I'm just not going to bother replacing any of these parts. We're going to wait till Canada, the next race, to replace our engine parts that we need to replace, because I just don't think we need the engine here in Monaco. Now, could that be the famous last words? I don't know. But as we head into qualifying, I actually did qualifying on 3 separate occasions. Yeah, 3 occasions. The first time I just crashed out and I thought, well, okay, let's try and get this sorted out then. Let's try and do it again at a different time. So I did it again, and we seem to qualify 20th, and I'm thinking, well, that's not good enough, surely. Like, the engine can't affect us that much, because usually I'm relatively quick around Monaco. The engine issues can't be that bad, so I did it for a 3rd time, and the engine issues are that bad. I can promise you, the engine issues are that bad, and I haven't bothered to change the engine at all, and I'm now instantly regretting that decision. As we come around the final few corners here in Monaco, along the straight, a 112 to get onto pole. Well, we're already past the 112. On the 113s, 14s. We qualify in 20th place for Monaco. It's not good. And here's a bit of a surprise for you. Because we're at the back of the grid, because we had an awful qualifying, because we've got an awful engine in there, because I didn't bother changing any engine parts out. I thought about it, but I thought, well, the likelihood is I'm going to crash in Monaco, and I'm just going to waste the engine then. So we may as well just get these engine parts out the way, see what happens in Monaco, and we'll swap it all out for China. But we're going to do this live, just because I think it's going to be entertaining to see me struggle in Monaco and probably crash, and I just think it might be a bit more entertaining for you. So here we go. We're going to do a live race. Here's the race strategy then. Again, I can see, I'm looking at my screen, my recording screen. It flickers around a bit, so I don't know why it flickers around. I'm not quite sure what the issue is, but it's flicking around. Either way, we're going to go, I think actually, we're going to go for this strategy instead. I think because we're at the back of the grid, we may as well try and go all the way through to the end of the race and try and make one stop at the end. You can see on the top here, you can see the weather. It goes sunny, cloudy, even more cloudy, and a bit of rain at the end. So if we can maybe hold on right to the end of the race, maybe try and wait for the intermediate tyres to come out, if they come out, if there's going to be rain at the end of the race, that could be make our pit stop, and then we're going to be a lot more competitive. Because I think with our engine issues, we're just not going to be that competitive. So that strategy is selected. That's good. We're going to be on the medium tyres then to start this race at the very back of the grid here in Monaco. We've got the lights going out. My plan is to go down the right-hand side of the grid. So immediately we're going to get right behind Kubica, get in his slipstream, and then try and do everyone here. Cut the corner a little bit. Now, do we get a penalty for that? No. So we're up to 16th already. I think we must have overtaken Stroll, I think. But we've got the penalty, not got the penalty, sorry, because of that. I can already tell this is a bad idea. Monaco is the high concentration track. And at the moment, as we dive down the inside again, already damaging the front wing with Ricciardo there. Contact with Giovinazzi. Already got front wing damage. Now, this could be interesting, but we have made our way up to 14th already. If we can get to like 10th by the end of a lap, that would be pretty good, to be fair. But it's not been a bad start. It's a bit frustrating that we've had front wing damage there, and it's a bit difficult to see the line here as we come out the tunnel into the sunlight. And You can see some of these cars starting to pull ahead of us, and it is our engine issues at the moment. If we flip the screen right now, as I slowly get there, as I come around these corners. Right. Quite bad front wing damage there, actually. Just sort of popped up. I saw that briefly. Right, you can see here how bad the engine damage is. The ICE, the internal combustion engine's on 91%. You hate to see that. Other parts on the 70. I think it's just the ICE that's really the main issue for us. But we will swap out quite a few engine parts for the next race in Canada. But we're off to a good start, I've got to say, so far. And again, we've just got to protect our front wing now. Obviously, cornering is going to be a bit tricky now because we've got quite the damage on the front wing. But other cars will make the pit stops. We'll slowly make our way forward. And if it does start to rain towards the end of the race, I think we might be able to get away with swapping to the intermediates then. And then that way everyone else has to stop as well. So that means we have a one-stop strategy when everyone else might be having a two-stop strategy. So we're going to ask our engineer in a minute what to do about the weather. And if there is actually going to be rain or not. Because if there's not going to be rain, then that might scupper our plans. Right, we're here then. Let's have a look then down at the... Oh, I missed the thing. I don't know. Oh, I've got an achievement for something. Says not again, Jeff. Right. Pause the game. Apparently... Oh, what? I didn't want this. Don't talk to me about DRS. Okay, right. What was that achievement for? Oh, apparently I told Jeff to be quiet. I'm not quite sure how I told Jeff to be quiet. But apparently that was what we did. Either way, we didn't get to ask about the weather either, which was an issue. And I've just realised our front wing damage is actually quite bad because coming into this race, I decided to put damage up to full, thinking it might make me a little bit more careful going around the corners and things like that. And it also will massively increase the chance of a safety car if someone crashes. But of course, it has backfired as we've got a very, very damaged front wing now, which we're going to have to race with because I'm not making more than one stop in this race, so we're going to have to race with it and hope for the best, pretty much. There's Stroll behind us. He's getting a bit close to us now. We need to ask Jeff about the weather still because we didn't actually get to it properly. So next time we're on a bit of a straight that I can kind of concentrate on, maybe here. Oh my god! Right, I'm rewinding that because that was not my fault for crashing into the barrier there, and I'm trying to get Jeff to talk to me. I mean, I apologise for rewinding, but that was not my fault. I'm not having that, so I'll do it again in a minute when I'm a bit more confident. All right, weather report, please, Jeff. Ah, well, that's not a good sign, is it? No rain expected. I don't know if that just means right at this very second, or that means generally for the whole race. That would be frustrating if it was for the whole race. As we're doing a good job. I'm surprised at how well I'm doing here. Like, I've not hit the barriers once, apart from that opening lap when we sort of crashed into one or two cars. We've not hit the barriers once, and I don't know if we're gaining or not, to be fair. I need to look at the sector times in a second to see what's going on. We've got Stroll right on our gearbox at the moment. I'm not surprised he's not actually got past us yet, to be fair. He's right there, bless him. Maybe we can try and force him to crash into us. That would be quite good. Because then that's him out of the race, and that might be a safety car. We have to rely on safety cars this race. That's the only reason I've increased the damage to full damage, because I want some safety cars out here. Because we were on the reduced damage before, which I didn't actually intend to. I wanted to be on full damage. I only just realised that we were on reduced damage this many races into the season. I prefer being on full damage because theoretically it should make me a more careful driver. I thought about to go into the wall then, which would have been a disaster. Right, so according to that sector thing, we are 7.5 seconds down on Giovinazzi, who is ahead of us. Let's see what it's like at sector 2, and then we'll see if we are gaining or not. And I think we're probably losing a lot of time considering we are 7.5 seconds down on lap 5. Yep, so we are 9.5 seconds down at the end of that lap. So in 2 sectors, we're losing a second a sector, basically. And that will partly be down to me just not being particularly good. But I think most of the issue will be down to the engine. I think it's the engine. I mean, that may be me trying to defend myself as a driver, but I genuinely do feel the main reason for this is the engine. However, the reason I want to go so late into this race is because Stroll's been behind. He's been so much faster than a Stroll. He should have overtaken us, but he hasn't. And that's because it's just so difficult to overtake on this Monaco track. So I'm kind of hoping, like, what we can do is go really late, pit quite late, hold up everyone else behind us, and then kind of hope for a safety car. Maybe just as we pit, we might have to try and fabricate a crash maybe to do that. We might have to actually try and do it ourselves, get someone, maybe we crash into someone else, and that might get the safety car. Romain Grosjean's out of the session, it just said there, so he's obviously crashed, which is no surprise, really, because it is Romain Grosjean. Really, I don't think he should be in Formula 1 in real life. I just think he's too error-prone, in my personal opinion. You may argue with me, but on his day, he isn't a bad driver. But most of the time, he's not on his day, and he just likes to crash into his teammate or anything, basically, Grosjean. So I don't think he deserves his seat in the Haas, as Stroll gets very close to us there. I'm not a fan of that. We need to just get a bit of breathing room, but he just can't get past us. This is the thing, it's just so narrow around Monaco here. This turning in particular is like ridiculously difficult. Now I need to think of the words here because I can't quite think of them because I'm trying to concentrate. But when you go around that corner, there's Grosjean there, crashed out. Why is there not a safety car when his car's right there on the track? That should be a safety car in my opinion. So we're going to have to try and cause a big crash later on as our teammate Verstappen's in the pit. So he's going to come out way ahead of us. Like, we are slow, basically. What I was trying to say before that was that corner, the chicane, the 180-degree corner, whatever you want to call it. For this track, the cars have to have special steering parts on it to make sure the car can actually get around it. Because ordinarily, it wouldn't be able to get around it. There's a bit of trivia for you. So as we come around this corner here, our teammate was in the pits. He's now way out the pits. We've made one overtake. We're going to overtake Sainz, are we? We've got slightly better... Well, he's got ahead of us. We're not overtaking Sainz in the pits. If we can get him here, somewhere on this lap, that would be fantastic. Because then we can hold him up behind us. Otherwise, Sainz is probably going to like get a podium at this rate. Because we're going to hold everyone else up, I think, when we get past them in the pits. But judging that Verstappen's got out ahead of us and he might not have been first, I don't think we will get ahead of that many cars, or as many cars as I thought we were going to get ahead of, which is a bit of an issue. So we're going to have to try and cause a safety car, definitely, at some point. How we do that, maybe we try and let Stroll past us and then we just sort of nudge him into a wall. That could be something that works quite well, but we have to come off better from it, obviously. Oh, we've cut the corner there massively. So a few more cars coming out the pits now. I don't think... Oh, we're going to get ahead of Devon Butler, which is good. He had a grid penalty. Oh, we're not going to get ahead of Devon Butler. He had a grid penalty. Or are we going to get ahead of him? Right, come on. Come on, Tom. We want to get ahead of Devon Butler. We need to get ahead of Devon Butler. I don't know why I tried to go down the inside there. That was never, ever, ever going to work. We might be able to get down the inside. No, we're not. No, we're not. Let's... Now, I don't normally rewind, but I just feel like I don't really care about this Monaco race at the moment. I'd rather just cause a safety car at some point to try and get some points. Like, I've tried to be professional in my first few races, but this one, I really don't care. We're being offered a new strategy as well. Onto the hard tyres. Why do I want to go onto the hard tyres? Oh, they're not... I forgot to change it to the soft tyres, and we can do that in the menu at some point. We'll change it to the soft tyres because we don't want to go onto the hard tyres. We want to be on the softs at the end of the race, obviously. Right, we need to start thinking tactically now about how we want to try and cause a safety car and how we somehow make the best of that. Because if we're going to crash, we have to go into the pit. We need to go into the pits anyway. But I'm sort of banking on other cars going into the pits at the same time to get some fresh tyres, for example, something like that. I'm not 100% sure that's going to work, though. And it looks like, Stroll's gone in for his pit now, maybe. Or did he pit earlier? Is that why I can't remember why we're ahead of Stroll. But he might have just gone to the pit because he's not behind us anymore. So we've got Giovinazzi, but we've got no one near us right now. So we've got to wait for someone to actually come near us before we think about trying to cause a safety car. I do apologise, by the way, if you're watching this series to see me be a professional racer. Like, I've thrown that. I mean, it wasn't in the window anyway. wasn't inside the building at all, but I've completely thrown it out the window of this episode trying to cause a safety car. I'll tell you what, I turned the damage up to full, thinking so many cars would be out of this race, but no one's out. Only Grosjean went out, and that didn't even cause a safety car, even though he was on the side of a track. I feel like everyone's done their pit stops now, which is quite frustrating. I feel like we should have been higher up the pecking order by now. I'm quite upset. I thought we'd be able to capitalise, but we haven't. We're going to go up to the rich mix as well to try and go a bit faster on these next few laps now, because I think we should actually be pitting in the next, or we're meant to be pitting in the next 2 laps or so, but I don't want to. Let's try and get a weather update from Jeff in a second when I'm on a straight bit. Right, weather update please, Jeff. Okay, he said rain in 10 minutes time, and so I'm lapping at a... Ooh, I thought I hit the wall then. I'm lapping at a 117, 118-ish, something like that. So 10 minutes time is going to be in 8 or 9 laps. So I don't actually think, considering we've only got 8, well, I'm heading on to my, 7 laps left. I don't think the rain is going to affect the race that much, unfortunately. So it might do right at the end. It might do. So I'm going to just stay out on these soft tyres for as long as possible now, I think. That's my game, as long as possible on these tyres. 100%. I've actually raced this so well. If we had a good engine for qualifying and the race, we could actually be winning this. This is the frustrating part. I mean, I'm literally blaming it all on the engine, why we are so slow. It probably is because of me, not the engine. That's probably the reason. But I am trying to blame it all on the engine. I tell you what, I'm getting a bit cross now. Like, I want to cause a safety car, but there's literally no cars around us. Like, the cars behind us aren't really catching us at all. We're not catching the cars in front. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to cause a safety car if there's no one around us. So I was meant to pit on this lap, but I haven't pitted. I'm going to try and go right to lap 19 or so. I really want to take it right to the wire for a pit stop to go onto the wets, but I think we're too far behind. Even if that does happen, everyone makes 2 stops, we only make 1 stop. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference still. Right, I've got a plan in my head, but it's going to rely on the weather maybe. Let's ask Jeff for a weather report. So I don't know if you heard that or not, because I know I've got the game volume turned down a bit to talk over it, but the guy said rain in 15 minutes now. So we're not going to have rain in this race. Rain is off the cards. He then went and said Devon Butler's in 9th place. We have to, because it's a dry race, we have to make a stop, otherwise we get disqualified. Now, Giovinazzi's not really gaining on us quick enough. I think the best thing to do is go for our pit stop now, go on for soft tyres, and then try and crash into someone trying to lap us. Now, that might not be very sporting, but it's the best way we're going to get points at the moment. So, pit window, we need to change for soft tyres. That's what we want, soft tyres. Not intermediates, that's the wrong way. Soft tyres, there we go. It's a bit of a nightmare trying to change that and steer at the same time. So let's go into the pits then. We're in the pits. Basically, we just have to hope we're coming out of the pits at the same time as whoever's winning the race comes around the corner. Because right now, we're going to be in 19th. You can see on the minimap, we're down in 18th now. Russell's overtaking us. We are in last place. And I can't see that the race winners are actually quite far behind. Okay. They're very far behind, actually. This has not worked out well at all. So I'm just going to have to do a very slow lap, I think. This is my chance. I've just got to do a really slow lap. I can't believe I'm doing this. This is really not what you want to see. This is, I mean, my other races, I've tried to be really professional, try to win the races fair and square, but we're not catching anyone here. We've got an awful engine. We're coming last anyway. We may as well go really slow. Let Vettel or whoever's winning the race catch up. To be fair, not actually too far behind us now. Let these guys catch up with us. We crash into one, cause a safety car, and then somehow get to the front of the grid. Oh, there's only 3 laps left to do it as well. this we could actually finish under a safety car at this stage. I've really not timed this. I'm going slow. I'm meant to be going slow, aren't I? Stop going fast, Tom. We've really not timed this well. Okay. Worst case scenario is we don't get a safety car. Best case scenario is we get a safety car and we end up in the points. A kind of likely scenario is we might knock out some title rivals now as they start to come round. The aim is basically, look, they're right behind us now. On the straight, who's right behind us? Vettel. So which way is he going to go round? He's going round this side. Oh, I've actually missed him. I've actually missed Vettel. Hamilton's behind us though. Let's try and knock him out. Oh look, he's actually not. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's try this again. Let's try and get. Oh, he's. Oh. There's contact. There's contact with cars. Who's now? Please be a safety car, please. Someone safety car. There's a. We're knocking cars out left, right, and centre here. Weber is. There's still not a safety car though. Why is there not a safety car? Vettel's behind us. He's just crashing to the back of us there. Verstappen's out. Okay, it's good that Verstappen's out. We'll take that, to be fair. Because that's quite... Right, Vettel, overtake us. Seriously, lad. And then we can crash into you, cause a safety car. Why has there not been a safety car yet? That's what I want to know. I mean, we're causing all sorts of mayhem here. Butler, right, we need to take Butler out the race, 100%. This might take us out the race, actually, as well. But I'm happy to take Butler out the race at this stage. I don't even mind taking us out. Oh, I've took us out. At least Butler's out, though. Now, do we take this as a result? Because Verstappen's out and Butler's out, and they're our rivals. Or do we... Let's try and do it a little bit more gently, maybe. Oh, we don't quite get him. We actually miss him. I can't believe we just missed him there. We got a 3-second time penalty. Not that. Oh, Butler, please, lad. Please crash, Butler. I'm really trying hard. Oh, right. Well, we go again on Butler. Where is he? He's right behind us. We go. I mean, I'm still not getting penalties. Probably because the penalties aren't on full, or they're probably on simulation penalties or reduced penalties. That's probably why we're not getting any penalties for any of this stuff. Butler, please just try and overtake us so we can crash into you and get you out of the race. Because, I mean, Verstappen's still ahead of us, apparently, somehow, even though he's out of the race. That doesn't make much sense. Come on. Right, come alongside us. Bang. Bang. How is he not crashed out of the race? How is he still going from that situation? We go again. We go again. Alright, Butler. I'm literally going to smash him. Right, he's out. He's out of the race. You love to see that. There's no way he's recovering. We've knocked our two rivals out of the race. I'm happy to just go and finish it now. We've got... I don't know how I'm actually doing this with no front wing still as well, by the way. This is quite impressive. I've still got time to cause a safety car, but we'd finished behind the safety car at this stage, and really that's... No one cares about that, do they? We are now ahead of Verstappen, it says in the standings, which is good. I assume we'll be ahead of... I assume he's... Oh, he's not... He's not out of the race. He's still driving. I thought he was completely out of the race there. Let's let these guys come through then, because we need to take Butler out of the race. He's our main rival. We need him to go out of the race, so we're going to back it right up for him and sort of wait for him. Oh God, Hamilton's already won the race. Hamilton's just won the race. It just popped up there, which means if I cross the line, I finish because I'm a lap down. So we've really got to wait for Butler now, and we've really got to crash into him. Is he out of the race? Is he out of the race? He's out of the session. Fantastic stuff. We will well, hopefully. I think we should finish ahead of Devon Butler. We'll get out of the way of Vettel, who's down in 10th. He's obviously had some issues. We might have actually changed the running order quite a bit. We might get some points for some random teams here. I am actually aware that I have ruined the Red Bull weekend as well. I didn't really think about that. I was thinking about me personally with my rivalries. Now, we crossed the line in 18th, but because we were lapped, Butler might still actually end up ahead of us, which I didn't even think about. This could have just been a complete waste of time, really. Right, so this is how the race ended up. Hamilton won it in the end with Leclerc second, but Lucas Weber on the podium, Magnussen in the Haas, Perez in the Racing Point, both McLaren 6th and 7th as a Ricciardo. To be fair, it didn't change massively, but it was still good. We do end up finishing behind Devon Butler, which you hate to see, really, but at least we beat Verstappen. But we stay in 5th, which is good. We're now 68 points behind Hamilton at the top, so we've got a lot of work to do, and we're now 95 points behind Mercedes. So, for me, a positive weekend because we managed to beat our teammates and nearly beat Devon Butler. However, we have dropped back in the standings a little bit. It is swings and roundabouts. Now, let's see what actually happens here. We do actually get the finish position on Verstappen, and we are leading him. He managed to beat us, though, in... we got a penalty, didn't we? That's an annoying one to get, actually. So, actually, we end up losing both the rivalries in the race, but we are still ahead of Verstappen by 2 points. We're behind Butler by 4 points, so we've got a lot of work to do with him in the next few races. I was tempted, actually... we've lost a lot of reputation there for our crashes and things like that. That's a bit frustrating. So, yeah. That was... I am tempted to redo it. No, I can't redo it now. I'm past it. I can't redo it. We have to settle now with our with what we've chosen there. We've got 1,100 points to spend on things. We're still quite behind in the power, so we need to invest in the power. As you can see, we're halfway up the leaderboard actually, so we're getting there. We just need to invest a little bit more in power. This one, 1,150. We can't actually afford that, so we can't do that one yet. So I suppose we'll just go for the bearings. Let's improve bearings in the engine, and when we'll do a chassis, we can't do a chassis upgrade. We haven't got enough points. Can we afford a downforce one? No, we can't. We've only got 480 points. We can't do anything. We can't do anything other than the engine. So yeah, that's that then. What we do need to do though is sort the engine out. So we're going to go to our second internal combustion component now. So get rid of that. We don't need it anymore. That ruined our stuff in Monaco. We'll do the same for the MGUH, the motor generator unit heat, whatever that is. And the turbocharger, we'll change that as well. So we're going to have some new engine parts. The MGUK is looking a little bit worse for wear, 64%. But we only get 2 of those. We can get another one, but get a penalty for it. Let's just do it. Let's just put the other one on. We'll have a pretty much a new engine. We'll leave the energy store and control electronics. Gearbox. We have to do... we've done 6 of 6 races now, so we can change that to another race. So I'll have a new gearbox next time as well, which is really good. New gearbox. Fantastic stuff. Brilliant. I think that's quite good, actually. So hopefully next time out in Canada, where we're going to be going next, we'll do a lot better. Canada, by the way, probably one of my strongest tracks. So fingers crossed, we will get a really good result here in Canada. So I will see you next time from the Canadian Grand Prix. Have a good one. Goodbye.